Hey everyone in Salt Shakers. I am super excited to be with you guys today. My name is Cara Manderfield-Banuet because I just got married. and my husband has also been teaching here. It's just been such a privilege to just be with you guys this whole entire time. Just amazing words. This week we are talking about biblical vision. And just yesterday, Mallory gave an amazing talk on just vision with the family and how to really seek God to have a clear vision of how to raise your children, how to be a good wife or husband, how to go forward. And today I have a talk a little bit similar or very, very different, but still on biblical vision. Today, first I want to start off with an example, and is just how sometimes you have a vision, but you have no idea how it's going to be pieced together. So just this year, beginning of the year, me and my husband, we got married. From last year, we just started to evolve into that direction of wanting to start our lives together. But we had no way to pay for a honeymoon, to pay for a wedding. We kind of were just walking by faith without knowing where we were going. And it is walking with a vision. It was clear that we wanted to get married, that when the date was, but we did not have the finances. We did not have the resources that we needed. But as we trusted in God, as we walked with that clear vision, we started to see how God started piecing together so many different miracles, from discounts with the location to also just people that were giving us different things that we needed, to even like wedding gifts. Like we got a super amazing promotion to be able to install things in the house. I mean, it was just like amazing, every piece of the puzzle. And it just kind of brings me back to thinking that many times our lives are like a huge grand puzzle that has like 1,000 or 1,000,000 pieces in it, and we don't know how it's going to be pieced together. I don't know if you've ever had to do a puzzle where like literally there's like so many little pieces and you're like, okay, this is the ocean, but it's actually the sky, and you don't know where you're going with it. But as you start putting the border together, as you start piecing one by one, the grand picture starts to show up. The grand picture just starts to like start looking a little bit bigger and better. And a lot of times that's how our life is. In fact, it's funny because in Spanish, the puzzle is called rompecabezas. And rompecabezas, the literal meaning of it is just breaking your head apart into pieces. Just as you're trying to piece it together, you have to like break that mold of what you think it's supposed to be able to see something else. I love seeing the people that are already connected. I see that Tim's here, and yeah, God just put things together. And I want you guys to kind of just think right now, what are those things that if God had not intervened into your life, what things would have not happened in your life? It might be the marriage, it might be ministry or business, but you know that it had to have been something supernatural because this wasn't your strength. It was really just God piecing it together. As we start talking about just dreams and vision, it reminds me of someone from the Bible that is considered the biggest dreamer, and it was Joseph. Joseph was considered the dreamer of the Old Testament, and he started talking to his parents and also to his siblings saying, oh, I had a dream. And he started telling these dreams that were very far-fetched about how these haze were bowing to him, and then how the stars and the moon and the sun start to bow to him. And in it all, people started to like piece together that he's dreaming that he's going to be a ruler over all of them. And so he might have just just kind of lean back in his chair and be like, oh, God's got this. Like, he's called me to be a ruler over my family. Like, he's going to just piece it all together. But from that promise of seeing his family bow to him to actually the fulfillment of that promise, it was completely different than what he ever expected. It was something that he really had no idea what was going on. So I don't know if you know the story of Joseph, but he actually had this dream. His brothers were so jealous of him that they put him into a pit. And in that pit, then they decide to sell him to slavery in Egypt. And so he's over there, he's mopping the floor, he's carrying these big bolts of things. He's really fearful of his life. And in all this time, he probably just forgot about the promises that God gave him. He just kind of let that go because he's in a different reality than he was just a few years ago. And a lot of times I think that we kind of go through this process of, we got this word, and I remember when I was younger, when I was 12, when I was 15, and I started to learn how to hear the voice of God, and I was just like super pumped, like, yes, this is what we're gonna do. God's called me to this, this, and this. But as time started to evolve, I started looking back and being like, Lord, didn't you promise this? This is looking like it's going in the opposite direction of what you have said in my life. And in the same way, like Joseph had this promise of authority, of leadership, yet he was going through a pit. Yet then he's in slavery at Potiphar's house. But then after that, he got falsely accused and he was thrown into prison. I mean, like, it is completely the opposite direction of what it would be to be in leadership and influence, and to be in a place where God just works on you to be able to be an influence with everyone else, you would think. But even in those places of darkness, even in those places of not being known, he was being light to those people. In the prison, he was being a person that, like, you see in the scriptures how his character, his hard work were those things that actually made him have a great reputation, so much so that in the prison keepers would give him the keys with full confidence that he wasn't going to run away. He wasn't going to open up his cell and just leave, with full confidence that he was going to be able to run it in the greatest way possible. Many times, we are in situations that we did not expect. Maybe some of you that are listening, God called you to full-time ministry, but then right now you're in this job that's like 8 to 5. It's just sweat, and you have no idea why you're in this when you thought you were supposed to be in that. But in that process, I am sure that God is giving you the keys, giving you the knowledge, giving you the strength for what is to come. And so as we see, even though Joseph had a promise, he had to go through a process. When we have a vision, that doesn't mean that that vision starts right away. Or it does, but it starts in a way that we have no idea. It's that process that is what's pruning us for that promise to be fulfilled in our lives. Many times, if God gave us that promise right away, we wouldn't be ready for it. We would destroy it before we could actually bring something out of it. And so, like, it's just something that is so overwhelming in my life, looking at what is to come, especially in this time of COVID. This time, like, we have no idea what's going on, and we might be even saying, like, Lord, like, those things that were built, those things that you have placed us in front of, they seem like they're crumbling down. But maybe out of it all, out of those ashes, God is bringing something that's fruit. God is bringing something that is life. God is bringing something that is so much more powerful, so much more perfect than what it is right now. In God's word, it says that we are like mud or clay in the potter's hands. And many times, once the vase is actually been already made, you have to shatter it to be able to rebuild it if it's imperfect. And many times, that is the process with God. God starts building us up, but then at the same time, he has to bring us back and say, okay, we got to perfect this. We got to chip this off. We got to prune it back. And the same thing is in our process in this puzzle, is we have no idea. We have a direction, we have a vision, but we have no idea what God's thoughts are on it. But we do have a promise. And it's in Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. And it says that his thoughts are much higher than our thoughts. And as we trust in that, as we trust that God's thoughts are much higher than our thoughts, it allows us to lean on him. It allows us to trust in him. It allows us to say, okay, Lord, I have no freaking idea what's going on right now, but you do. And I trust and I obey. And that's where intimacy comes so aligned with what we need to do. If I don't know how to hear God's voice, I don't know how to obey him. I can't hear him and I don't know where the directions are. But God's word in Psalms 32:8, it says, I will show you the way that you need to go. I will look upon you with gladness. As we get close to God, we get that direction. As we get close to him, we get that clarity of what that puzzle is. Now it's not breaking our heads open of saying, what am I going to do? But it's say, Lord, I don't understand it, but I trust in you. I can't see the next step, but I trust in you. It just reminds me of the movie of Indiana Jones. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was a part where they're in this cave and he doesn't know what the next step is, but he just has to trust that there's something next. And as he steps, the stone starts appearing. That's how it is with God. Many times it's, Lord, there's no finances for this. There's no contacts for this. Like there's literally no way to do this. But if you spoke it, I will trust you. If you said it, I will follow you. And that's where we are at. Just like Moses, Lord, if you go ahead of me, I'll go. But if you stay, I'll stay. I will not dare to go against the grid. I will not dare to go away from where you are at. The safest place that we can be is in the perfect will of God. And that is by hearing him and seeing what he is seeing, having his vision. And trusting that even though it doesn't look like what I would do or what I would wish it would be, that it's always better. So it's a little nugget for today. I love you guys. I'm so glad to see so many people connected, like Sean, like Tim. I see, I don't know how you pronounce your name, but Kai Carter. But it's so great to be able to be here. Lilani Edwards. But so great to be able to understand that this is our opportunity to constantly trust in the Lord. And as we lean on him, he will direct our path in that vision. So thank you for reconnecting.
You said Kai Carter? What?